everybody. It's time to talk about relationships and dating. How's everybody today? It's a beautiful day here where I am. So I have my magic bowl, and it's time for relationships and dating from A to Z, the letter H. So, ready? Okay. I don't want to start with that one. Okay. Holidays. Holidays. Man, holidays are hard enough without having to, particularly in a newer relationship, let's see, when we were talking, in school, we used to talk about the difference of boundaries in families, right? And some people have what's called a closed system, meaning they're very tight with their boundaries. They would not be likely to, be inviting strangers to Thanksgiving dinner and such. It's a very closed system. And some people have a real open system, right? Like my mom will have anybody over for the holidays. And I think what's important to remember is that when you get into a relationship with somebody, the way their family operates around holidays is not personal. It's not personal to you. If your partner is really uncomfortable inviting you to a holiday, it is very likely, about his mom or his aunt or his crazy sister or whatever. And so I think that an important question that you can ask when talking about the holidays, first and foremost, as opposed to so are we going to spend the holidays together, is to say, so how does your family do holidays? Tell me about it. And then kind of go from there, right? So that you're first and foremost kind of respecting that your family has a way of doing things. I mean, it's kind of, we were talking about this with finances a little bit. Everybody grows up with a different ideation around, finances and if it's okay to talk about, and everybody grows up with their whole, their own thing around holidays. And, as we start to establish our own couples and families, then we can start to establish our own, traditions around holidays. But boy, in the beginning, everybody's kind of got their own personal struggle. Just remember your partner, when you're talking about the holidays, is probably about 14 years old in that moment. I know I am. So, heart. You've got to have heart. Miles and miles and miles of heart. Okay. Here's what I'm going to say about heart. Because I do work with a lot of women who are dating and in early relationship, and there is a tendency to sort of give over your heart right away. And what I would say, and men are a little bit more visceral in the process. Like they need to kind of feel how it feels to relate before they sort of decide to share themselves. They take a little longer to do that. And so what I would say to women is this, which is what my beautiful friend Susan Pelfrey said to me back in the day when I was freaking out over Mark not calling me back. She said, Sophie, there are many doors to your heart. Let him earn his way through each one. And that was really important for me to hear, because, if you hit one button and just open all the doors to your heart, there's more trust and there's more vulnerability being put on the table than maybe the situation and the relationship really can hold at that point. And so you just got to kind of slow your roll with your heart a little bit. Okay, here it is. Herpes. Herpes. I'll give you what I know about it. Okay. Herpes 1 is the mouth cold sore thing. Herpes 2 is genital herpes. Over, I think 90% of the population over 30 has been exposed to herpes 1, and you can have it without knowing, because only about 30% of people actually get cold sores. So I guess, okay, here's why you need to calm down a little bit about it. First of all, go back to the other ones about fornication and C for condoms. Use condoms. They work. They don't protect always against herpes, but here's the thing. What was I going to say? Oh, the CDC actually doesn't even recommend testing for it. And I'll tell you why. Because the emotional and relational fallout from a positive antibody test is actually considered now to be not worth it. And so if you get an STD panel, you actually have to ask for herpes 1 and herpes 2 to be tested, and you have to pay extra for it. And it's like an extra thing. So but that's how, like, it's generally not deadly, you know. I mean, you can read about it. I'm not a doctor, okay? But it's so you have to understand that if your partner comes back with antibodies, that just means they've been exposed at some point in their life. You have no idea when. It could have been 20 years ago. It could have been last week. We don't know. And that's why the CDC is like, this is causing more problems and trauma, and it doesn't change sexual behavior. So there you have it. So that's why. Okay, so that's what I know about herpes. Hormones. Oh, hormones. It's important to acknowledge your hormones and yet not use them as an excuse to treat people poorly. I really think that it's important in a relationship to actually just share a calendar and put your damn PMS on the calendar, because it helps your partner be on your side. It helps your partner understand, like, oh, this is, you know, you might be, having a drop in your progesterone and you're all cranky and shit. Like that's a reality. That's a reality. And from what I understand, again, I'm not a doctor. This is from my doctor, is that when your progesterone's low, that's the cranky, angry PMS. And when your estrogen is low, that's like sort of the weepy, insecure PMS. So it's a real thing. So it's important to, I think, name it and just say, it's not you. I'm really sensitive right now. This is what's going on, or having it on the calendar. I mean, you know, it also just gives your partner an opportunity to kind of love you through it, and, you know, maybe bring you some chocolate, rub your feet. I don't know. Suggestion for men: chocolate, red wine, and foot rubs. Always good at that time. So that's all I'm saying. Habits. We all come into relationship with habits. The thing that you have to remember is that you're adults, right? And you've survived life so far. They've survived life so far without you, right? And they're going to survive life after you. Okay. So kind of get over yourself when it comes to somebody's habits. If you don't like them, then you have a choice to not volunteer for them or not. If somebody has an addictive habit, like cigarettes or drugs or something like that, nobody's going to give up a habit for you, really. It really has to be something that's like a desire within themselves. So, you know, we can all try to adjust and do better and make our habits more palatable, I suppose, or create new habits. But again, you got to remember, they are habits, and habits are just, they take time to break. They serve us, like, in a way. Even if it's a bad habit, somehow it serves us. And so it's a personal journey to change a habit. And so, if you're kind of like, I'm never going to be happy in this relationship until you quit smoking, you know, then that becomes now it becomes like a control thing. Like, some days it might be like, yeah, I love you so much, I totally want to do that for you. And some days it's going to be like, don't tell me what to do. Don't tell me how to live my life. So these are things that you really need to think about in the beginning. And you have to really think about what your own, what's it triggering in you? What's that person's habit triggering in you? Is this really about that person, or is it about you? So, okay. So habits, honesty. I mean, honesty is usually the best policy. I think, honesty, what's more important to that, I think, is authenticity, being honest about your desires and your needs and what's going on for you. And sometimes that honesty comes down to just saying, I'm uncomfortable, or I'm scared, or I'm, I had a reaction to this and I don't even really know if it's appropriate. As far as like, this is a really touchy subject, but if sometimes people are like, let's say there's honesty about like how many sexual partners have you had, or like, what's your past and blah, blah, blah. Everybody's entitled to a little bit of privacy. And when you start pushing somebody on their privacy, now you start turning it into secrecy. And now you're starting to chip away at the authenticity in the relationship. And I think that we are all entitled to a little bit of privacy. Maybe you've had a sexual experience or a past relationship or something that you just really don't want to talk about, because once you talk about it, now it exists in somebody else's brain. And now it's, it can't just be that thing that you're like, I'm just going to file that and not really worry about that. And also things that happen at different times in our life, they just might not like, seem congruent with who you are today. And so sometimes it's more risky to share something that you would rather keep private, but that doesn't mean that you're necessarily trying to hide a part of yourself from that person. I think we're just all entitled to a little bit of privacy, And, but again, when you start pushing at privacy, it becomes secrecy. And now you're sort of making the person feel like they have to hide things from you out of fear, right? And fear and love cannot exist in the same space. So if you're operating out of fear, you're not operating out of love. So, yeah. Okay, we got a couple more. Ooh, healthy lifestyle. Yeah, I'd like one. Oh, okay. Healthy lifestyle. I think that what I've noticed in dating and relationships and the women that I work with and is that, healthy lifestyle in the day-to-day, if that's truly like how you operate. There's dating sites for vegans, there's, there's dating sites for, people with herpes too, by the way, I think. So like you can have a lifestyle choice, like a healthy lifestyle choice that you, that's really important to you and that you need support in. So if you're actually going to combine households, I think it's really important that you understand and support each other's healthy lifestyle. Because that can be a real struggle if you're living with somebody who's not living a healthy lifestyle. I'm not sure if you have totally different lifestyles, if it would go real well in the beginning anyway. I'm not sure if it would even turn into a long-term relationship if you're constantly like, I want to eat a McDonald's, I want to eat a veggie grill. It's going to come up. And I think that the important thing is to honor it in yourself and know that that's something that you do for self-care and that's something that's important to you. And you do need a relationship that supports it. Ultimately, like, again, there's a difference between like, I love you and you're my life partner. Unfortunately, these are two different things. Hopefully I am your life partner is also I love you. But, there are times when you can really, really love somebody that you can't live with. And that's heartbreaking, but it's true. So, heartbreak, that's another H. Okay. Humor. Humor. Humor is love in so many ways, right? Humor gives us room for things. If we can have an issue in our relationship and we can laugh about it, or we can approach something with a little bit of humor, it just gives each other room to be imperfect. I think that we talked about that yesterday, grace. And again, life just has so many built-in sad things and hard things and responsibility, and sometimes it's just important to get yourself on a different vibration and a different wavelength, and to just say, we need to go do something that's going to make us laugh, or maybe we can look at the ridiculousness of this, maybe we can laugh at this a little bit. And again, we talked about banter. Banter can be touchy and hurt feelings and such, but I think the more that you can get comfortable with looking at your issues in your relationship with some humor, right? We're just all stumbling through. We're just all looking for, we just all want to be known and be seen and be accepted for who we are with our faults, you know? And I don't mean like unconditional love. I can be an asshole and you have to stay in a relationship with me. I don't mean that. I just mean, because love is by its very nature unconditional. It's the highest energetic vibration. Love is unconditional. Relationships, on the other hand, they're conditional. So you can love somebody from way over there if you can't be in a relationship with them. So so humor, yeah, humor is important. How about that? All right, so that's that. The bowl is empty. We did them all. Thank you guys for showing up. This has been Relationships and Dating from A to Z, the letter H. All right. Thanks for joining me. I will see you tomorrow for the letter I. So feel free to leave some suggestions. Okay. Bye.